Hey guys, welcome to Together We Can Cook. Today we are going to be making a Western omelet together. This could be breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I'm gonna start out by dicing up some green bell pepper. So we're just gonna remove the seeds and the ribs and cut it into a pretty small dice. Usually Western omelets have peppers and onions, ham. I always add cheese to my omelets. This is a pretty hearty meal. Like I said, it doesn't just have to be for breakfast. This could be lunch or dinner. I'm making an omelet for two. So if you're just making this for one, I would have whatever I'm doing now. But this is enough for two people. So we're just going to keep going here and dice up this pepper. And I am going to use my little scraper. Here's what I got so far. That was just from the top of the pepper. I'm gonna cut off the bottom here. We're not gonna need the whole pepper. I'm gonna just cut these three little pieces from the bottom. And we're gonna add that in. And then we're gonna move on to our onion. So I'm just gonna run my knife right through. I'd love to hear in the comments, what is your favorite breakfast? Do you have any awesome recipes that you'd like me to try and make a video out of? I'd love to hear from you guys. Okay, so the pepper is all done and we are going to move on to the onion. This is a white onion, but any type will do. And I'm just going to take the skin and the outer peel here and flat side down. I am going to start by going one way. I don't know if you guys can see. I'm gonna go this way. And then I'm gonna turn it and go the other way to get a nice dice. And it's always hard to get the very last spot. I'm even gonna flip it. Just run my knife through and take my little scraper. This is how much I got from half of the onion. I'm gonna add that into my cast iron pan over here. And maybe just a tiny bit more. I'm not gonna need this whole half because this is a pretty big onion. I'm just gonna do a little more. I'm just gonna maybe take like that much. And then I'm gonna go this way. Okay, my eyes are starting to hurt from the onion. I'm crying here. Okay, so that's enough of the onion. We are going to put, let's see, maybe 1.5 tablespoons of butter into the pan. I don't know if you can see, I'm like literally crying from the onions. So here's what we have so far. The onion, the pepper, and the butter. And I'm going to set this aside and we're gonna move on to slicing up some ham. This is little baby ham that I bought in the supermarket. It's actually sliced, which is pretty cool. So I am going to take a piece and just try to cut it up into a dice. But I'm not going to add this into the pan because I want to give those peppers and onions a little bit of time to cook before I put the meat in. The ham is fully cooked already. So we're just basically heating this through. and it made it so much easier that it came pre-sliced. We are obviously not going to need this whole ham, so what you could do with the rest of it is make it into soup. You could put it in quiches. You could dice it up like this and actually freeze it so that the next time you already have a diced up bag of ham, put it in little portions, and you won't have to keep buying this, because although it wasn't that expensive, it is a lot of meat just for one omelet. So we're gonna have to either freeze it or find something else to do with the rest of it. Or you could have sandwiches with it because it's sliced really thin already. I'm gonna take this bowl. Now I have a lot here, but I love me some ham. So I don't care that we have an unproportionate amount. So I'm gonna put the ham in, and we're gonna move on over to the stove soon. We could actually do one more thing before we go over to the stove, and that is to break the eggs. So this omelet is for 2 very hungry people. So I have 7 eggs here. Normally I wouldn't make more than 3 per person, but we have some hungry customers. So we're gonna do 7. If there's any leftovers, we can save it for later. And I'm just gonna do all these eggs and make sure we don't have any shells and that all the eggs are okay. I haven't gotten a bad egg in a long time. I remember when I was a kid, my mom used to always tell me to crack the eggs in a separate dish than what you're cooking, in case you do get a bad egg. Then it won't spoil everything else that you're cooking. So this looks good. I'm gonna go wash my hands. We could add a little milk to this, whisk it up, and then we can go over to the stove. We are going to get these eggs whisked up. I just added about a 1/4 cup of milk, and I'm just gonna get them going here and scramble them up so that they are ready to roll. Once we get everything prepped, it's not going to be that long until we have our nice delicious omelet. Okay, I'm going to set this aside. And we had said we were going to put cheese. So I have some cheddar cheese here, and I'm just going to grate it myself. I always feel like cheese that you grate yourself tastes better than the ones in the bag. I think they have to coat the ones in the bag with something so that all the little grated cheese doesn't stick together. But it tastes so much fresher if it's a nice cheese. This was, I think, Cracker Barrel brand cheese. I usually favor Cracker Barrel and Cabot cheddar cheese. If I do need to get shredded cheese in the bag, I feel like the Sargento one is the best one of the pick. It's a little more expensive, but sometimes it pays. Here are all of our prepped ingredients, and I am ready to move into the kitchen and start frying up my Western omelet. We're over at the stove now. I'm gonna get these peppers and onions sauteed up. I might add just a little dash of sugar to try to caramelize them up at the end to give this dish a little sweetness. Once everything gets going, it's gonna go quick from this point on. I just lowered the flame. The peppers and onions are pretty much cooked through. I'm gonna add a little tiny bit of sugar to caramelize these and to give some sweetness to our Western omelet, because you guys know I love everything sweet. Okay, I'm gonna add the ham in. Give that a little mix. I'm going to let this go not very long. Everything here is basically cooked. We're just heating it up. And then we're going to add the eggs. The ham is now heated through. I am adding the eggs. I switched over to a spatula that's coated. I want to try to get as much of the eggs off the bottom of the pan as possible. We don't want everything to be stuck. Although this cast iron pan is really old and it's pretty much non-stick. It's very well seasoned. You can see the eggs are starting to cook already. I'm just trying to get everything up off the bottom. Move everything around. We are almost ready to put these on the plates as soon as the eggs get cooked all the way through. And then we can add the cheese. And I'm also going to add some ground black pepper. The eggs are all done. I'm going to get them out of this pan immediately because cast iron pans will stay hot for a really long time. So we don't want to leave this sit here. So remember we said that this was an omelet meant for 2 people. So I'm going to divide it up amongst 2 plates. This is a lot, so if we have leftovers, we can save it too for later. The last thing we need to do here is put that cheddar cheese on top that we grated up. They're usually not hot enough, these omelets, to melt all the cheese. If it was processed cheese, those like Kraft American singles, it probably could melt it, but not cheddar cheese that you grate yourself. So here's what it's looking like. I'm going to put the cheese on and we're going to stick it in the microwave for a few seconds. The omelet's all done. I microwaved it for, I think, about a minute, but I did 30 seconds, checked it, another 30 seconds, and then I just kind of like flipped everything around. The cheese is all melted and gooey, and this is a really delicious meal. I would eat this for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Happy cooking, guys!